Gonflante.
That's... You will not borrow sugar from my household.
That is it.
Not too long ago, I made a video on Suit Up BE. And yes, I got my hands on one of their products as well for that video. It was listed as a B grade suit. However, in my opinion, like I said in that video, I don't think it was very reflective of B grade. I think that was giving it a little too much credit. If you don't have time to check out that video, the end all be all of it was that this suit needed a ton of work, and I only had like about a week to do it. My main goal here was to bring the suit back to a wearable state, because the way that it came in was not that at all. Alright, first let's get into what actually needs to be repaired. From top to bottom, we've got about 7 total issues that need to be remedied or fixed before this thing can be worn out anywhere. The rubber or urethane bands that are connected to the shoulders and all of the other areas of the costume were either not attached completely or not included at all. There were several glue stains and residue stains all over the suit, so we needed to get some stain remover and try and figure that out. There were no shoes installed on the suit at all, just completely open bottoms. The suit did not come with a mask at all, nor did it come with fabric to make one ourselves. There were no web shooters at all installed on the wrist portions of the suit. The back portion of the suit was made with a box zipper that was not functional and needed to be completely replaced before the suit could be worn. And lastly, the suit had several holes in like the hands and the torso areas. They weren't huge problems and they weren't like big lookers, but they were still there, which is a problem. So yeah, this was quite the handful of things that needed to be fixed on this suit. The biggest task of this entire project was definitely going to be the mask, so that was top on the list of things to get out of the way. Due to not having any fabric at all included with the costume that matches, this proved kind of problematic. After a couple of visits to different fabric stores where we didn't really have much luck, we wound up at a Joann's. No surprise there. Also, by the way, rip Joanne. Everybody comment RIP Joanne, please. Eventually, we found some fabrics that seemed to match pretty well, and we just wound up buying a decent amount of it because it was all on sale anyway. Joann's was closing.
We are match color to color to try and make mask. Where is the puff paint? Yay! Oh, dude, they have Gonflante. This is the puffy McDuber style. Still trying to find zipper. We have this zipper.
We have to find shorter one.
We use this. It's actually not
Take
silver. Wow.
Take that, haha.
I have fabrics.
No, you don't.
Now, before any sewing or any of that nature can be done with the mask, we needed to make sure that it was going to be textured, which, oh boy. Yeah, I don't have a screen printer, so we had to make do. There is a video by someone named Sean's Crafts. I'm sure you've heard of him. In the video, he creates an entire Spider-Man mask with the effect that matches really closely to the screen printing on the MCU Tom Holland suits. Using his tutorial, I ordered some perforated vinyl, and I ordered it on next day delivery so it would get here pretty much immediately. So we couldn't really do anything until then, but the next day, we got to work. Once it arrived, we pinned the fabric down, laid the vinyl out, and just kind of... Now, of course, we didn't really know the exact specifics of how this worked, so it kind of worked, but not exactly how we wanted it to. The mistake we made the first time around was we actually like completely dried it and waited for the paint to completely dry before we started peeling the vinyl. Don't do that.
First test, it kind of did it. I mean, we might have to try again.
The key is to do it while it's still wet. So on our next try, we used a little bit more paint, spread it out real nice, and then pretty much peeled the vinyl up immediately. This worked perfectly. On this first successful batch, we held back a little bit on how much paint we used, so on these next subsequent tries, we just kept adding more paint and it worked even better.
So this is actually a really delicate process because like if there's even the smallest amount of gap in between the vinyl and the fabric, then it's gonna bleed right through, and it's happened to me 3 times already. And that's why I don't have a suit that like has dots on it.
I was honestly astonished by how close this just puff painted fabric looked when it was sitting right next to an actual screen printed suit. In my eyes, this method is like a huge game changer, and I'm surprised more people aren't using this method on their suits because it worked really well. I brought an old Spidey mask that I knew we would have to cut up, but no big deal. Cutting it at the seams left us with a pretty good mask pattern to use when making this new version of the mask. After cutting the original mask and tracing all of those pieces onto this new screen printed fabric, cutting begins. Once we had our pieces cut out, my friend was able to take me over to his sewing machine and kind of show me a little more in depth how this process works when it comes to making masks. It was really helpful to watch the process because I am starting to get into these things, but I know it's not something that I could take on fully myself just yet. So it was really helpful to actually just really watch the process in depth. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, once this mask was completely sewn together, we noticed that it was not stretchy at all. So we reinforced the seams quite a bit, and we had to add an entire extra layer of that screen printed fabric in the back before we could even add a zipper. Obviously this was going to be way too tight just to slip on, so thankfully earlier at Joann's I grabbed extra zippers just in case. And with that installed, we have a mask. Well, almost. There's no webs yet. While I was out grabbing supplies, I made sure to grab a fabric ink pen. This is very similar to like a Sharpie pen or something of that nature, but it's made with ink specifically for fabric so it doesn't run or anything like that. For this process, we just put the mask on a face shell and used masking tape to ensure that we got as straight as lines as possible, but making sure that it's still all lined up. This was super tedious, but honestly, it came out really clean in my opinion. I was super impressed when it was finished. But seriously, we were able to make a completely textured mask in just a couple of days, which sure, it's not a huge feat, but it's a first for me, which is pretty cool. So now that the mask was completed, it was time to tackle some of the issues with the bodysuit, starting with the web shooters were a pretty simple process. I had some extra 3D printed Far From Home web shooters that we just made copies of with an epoxy mold. If you guys want to know the full process behind making something like this so you can have your own unlimited supply of web shooters, let me know in the comments below and maybe we'll make a video on that. The MCU seems to love this web shooter design, so it definitely didn't hurt to have multiple copies of it, especially when I'm gonna have to add some to the No Way Home suits. So once these copies were poured up, made, and painted, we attached them to the wrist areas on the suit, but unfortunately due to where the wrist zipper was, it's not 100% accurate, but I think it looks fine. The next thing I wanted to get around to was the rubber bands around the suit, especially up on the shoulders, because they were just hanging and it looked really silly. So yeah, that definitely was not gonna go outside anywhere until that was fixed. I guess I don't have that much footage of us doing this, but really all that happened was I put the top of the suit on and somebody else helped glue them on. You want to be careful when doing these things, especially if you're going to be using super glue or anything like that. Don't burn your skin or damage your skin. Make sure you're being careful, but that was just the quickest way to get it done. I put it on, he finished gluing it, bada bing, bada boom. Now the other areas on the suit, like the legs and the arms, didn't even include the bands. There was nothing attached there, so we had to make them from scratch. For this, we just used a simple rubber sheet from Amazon. I got it for like $9 or something like that. I'm honestly unsure what better options are out there at the moment. They're really thin, and I can't just find sheets of urethane, so this kind of just worked perfectly. Because it's a similar texture to the urethane that's already on the suit, I don't personally think that it stuck out that much, but you guys can let me know below. The rest of the repair processes weren't nearly as difficult, but there were still a few to get to. There were some holes around the hands and the finger areas of the suit and around the box zipper area, especially in the waist, so we had to get to those. That wasn't too tedious. They were just like little holes, like a lot of them, a lot of teeny little holes. I don't know, it was weird. I don't know how it happened that way. I don't know if it got caught on something. The glue stains on the suit were mostly removable. We got pretty much all of them off except for a few, and I think if we had pushed those few any further, we would have started damaging the screen printing, so I just let it be. They're not really in areas that are super noticeable, so cool. Now the box zipper needed replacing on the bottom portion of the zipper, which was weird because it only needed replacing on the bottom portion. For this, again, it was from Joann's. It was just one of those heavy duty zippers, probably more so used for jackets. The zipper that's actually on the suit before we replaced it had no head. There was no way to actually connect it and wear it. So we had to completely rip that zipper out and then put a new one in. The two side portions of the zipper operated just fine, like here and here were okay, but that bottom one, there was no way to actually close it, at which point you're just gonna have like an open flap in your bag. No thanks. The armpits did need a little tweaking in the zippers since there were some holes up there too, and the zipper was kind of like sticking out and being really uncomfortable. But luckily they still functioned, so those didn't need a full replacement. Once lined up and secured fully with that sewing machine once again, the zipper was completely done. Well, I suppose you can wear sneakers over your Spider-Man suit if you want to. For this suit though, I wanted to try and get as clean of a look as possible, which meant we were gonna have to install some shoes. I went to a local supermarket and found some water shoes that I would be able to install into the bottom of the suits that Suit Up PE left completely open.
Am I recording?
Yes, Grandpa.
All right.
You're doing great. Just hold it still, okay? Over here.
What? I think I want a bagel for lunch tomorrow.
I'll take you to lunch after.
All right.
I've got 3 pairs of water shoes, Grandpa.
3?
Yes.
You only got 2 feet.
This process was pretty simple. I put the shoe on, I put the suit on. With wearing the suit and wearing the shoe, it stretches everything out to the point where it makes messing up like the placement of everything a lot harder. And once the shoes were completed, that's it. Those were all of the remedies that we had to make to this suit. Honestly, I was surprised that we actually were able to get to every single thing on this list that needed to be repaired. Like, I couldn't believe that we did it. This was quite the challenge, but honestly, I'm extremely pleased with the result. And again, we only had a week to do this. This suit looks amazing when it's out and about. We met up with a few other cosplayers, and it was just an awesome experience. The pictures came out great. Now, since that first time of me wearing it out after it was completed, I have since sold it. It is at a new home. I no longer own this suit, but it was an incredible fun challenge. Thank you again to all of the help that I had on this suit. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, if it helped you in any way, gave you some new tips or new ideas on how to go about things, maybe you hadn't done that yet, yeah, let me know down in the comments below. I really appreciate our interactions, and I'm looking forward to it.
We completed the suit, guys.
We bloody did it.
We did it.
A week, basically.
A week, actually.
Just
Yeah,
about
pretty much a week.
That's how long it takes to fix Suit Up PE stuff, guys. So.
Yeah.
If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace.
The little web shooters, we got the logo, we got the bands, we got everything, we got shoes, we got, oh my god.
Bloody, don't even breathe.